Hey guys, welcome back to Road of Abundance. Today we have a very special guest. So Mark Victor Hansen is a world bestseller author. So I'll let you introduce yourself because you did so many things that it's hard for me to introduce you the proper way.
Yeah, most of you are familiar with the little book series I wrote with Jack Canfield called Chicken Soup for the Soul. That and my other 318 books that I've written have sold in excess of 500 million books. And I've got this crazy goal. I'm going to sell 1 billion books, which all you got to do is look at some of my critics and they'll tell you, no one can do that. And then I've been very blessed to speak in 80 countries to some 7 million people. Still speaking, still traveling, still loving doing it and writing more books than ever because now we have a new company called Mark Victor Hansen Library.com, and we're helping everybody that qualifies publish their book because we're saying, hey, look, I'm Library 3.0, and I'll just finish with this part. And what happened is Alexander the Great was the second great library with Alexandria, or the first great library. Second library system was one of my heroes, Andrew Carnegie, the richest man in America at one time. He created 2,509 libraries. And then it seems to me that we need a new library so everybody worldwide can read and 4 billion people can't read. So I'm creating a team, and obviously my dear friend Michael's agreed already to help. We don't know how we're going to do it, but wouldn't it be nice if we push that back just 10% and then 20% and get everybody to be, my cliche is, let's be read to be freed. Because if you can read and don't, then you're no better than somebody who can't read.
Exactly. Andrew Carnegie is the guy that wrote Think and Grow Rich, no?
Andrew Carnegie dictated to Napoleon Hill the concepts of Think and Grow Rich. And Napoleon Hill was I'm a scholar on both guys. So Napoleon Hill was 17 years old. He was going to law school at the time. And a journalist, because back then you had to work your way through school. There was no such thing as a scholarship. Gets an interview with the richest man in the world. Andrew Carnegie is interviewing him, and it says, hey, look, I really like you. So what I'd like you to do is spend the next 20 years meeting the 500 most important people ever. The most richest people in the world are all my friends, most successful politicians, best writers like Mark Twain, blind people like Helen Keller, everybody. But by the way, even though I'm the richest guy in the world, you got to prove the principles and philosophy of personal achievement and success, which came 13 in Think and Grow Rich, work. Therefore, I'm not going to give you a cent. And Andy puts his hand in his coat pocket, and Napoleon Knapp, he was called, N-A-P, nickname Knapp, Dr. Hill, you and I, didn't know what he did, but it took 29 seconds. He said, I'll do it. Carnegie pulled out the stopwatch and said, if you'd done 30 seconds, I wouldn't do it. Because to be rich, because we're talking about abundance, but we're talking about fundamental abundance of health, happiness, joy, success, family, political, rich, economics, all that stuff. But back then we were just talking about money. And what happened is, if it takes over 30 seconds to make a decision, you lose. Because Carnegie said, successful, wise people make decisions quick and change them slow. Unsuccessful people make decisions slow and change them fast. Big difference. I make successful sort of meditatively and prayerfully, and then luckily I've been very blessed to figure out what the right book titles are, the right books for the right markets, and I help other people do the same.
That's amazing. I guess that when you take a decision, the first thing that comes to your mind is your gut feeling, your intuition. So I think that's why you should listen to it. And then if you're a great leader, you reinforce your thinking and your knowledge on it. So that's cool. I read that book when I was 19, didn't quite get it at all.
I got the same problem.
I was reading it, guys, just for the money. I was hungry for money. I didn't want to help people. I wanted to help myself out, the Lambo, the car, the stuff, you know. And I was full of ego, you know, at 19 years old. And I didn't make millions. And I was like, this book, I loved it, but I didn't quite get it. And I read it again last year, and I was like, wow, this was it about. Like, I just couldn't believe everything that I missed 10 years ago. And yeah, it's crazy. So you've done a lot of things. Tell me, like, your background, what made you successful, where you started, what you've done, and an incredible thing that I asked you at the table earlier. I'm like, so how many goals you have? Like, what's your next goal, and what was your answer?
Oh, wow. Well, there's about 10 questions there. So I'm born of a Danish immigrant family that didn't have a lot of money, so I've had to work since I was 9 years old, buy my own clothes. So I found out that that was a great thing. I got a rock group when I was 16. I saw the Beatles, so I started playing bass. I said, I'm going to be Paul McCartney, and wow, way cool. And started making $5,000 a night. So I made a fortune enough to go to college. Now, my dad took half that money and said, you're going to pay your way through college, because he didn't have any money. So I had to work my way through college. And then luckily, I'm in university after I graduated undergraduate, and I'm going to be a doctor of physiology. But head of physiology said, you got to go hear the smartest guy on the planet. I was at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, Illinois, and we had a giant campus. And I was a student leader, but we hired everybody that got fired at Harvard, Wharton, Yale, and Stanford for one reason. They were all 65. And back then, they thought you lose your brain at 65. Well, now we know that's not good. You get more wise, hopefully. I'm 73, so and I'm going to live to be 127 with options for renewal, so I got a lot to do and a lot planned. And 7,000 goals in writing. Hit 1,587 of them so far. Anyhow, the amazing thing is, the head of physiology, Alfred Richardson, Dr. Richardson, Mark, we're going to see this guy, Bucky Fuller, Dr. Buckminster Fuller. He and I run NASA. He's a senior advisor to National Space Administration going into space in the 60s, as you guys remember. This is about 67 or 66. And I thought, wow, what a cool idea that is. I there's 5,000 kids in the auditorium. I'm sitting in the front row with Dr. Richardson, who had become my good friend. This little guy comes out. Bucky was 71 and maybe 4'8" or something, and brilliant, and says, we're going to talk about cosmogony, cosmology, epistemology, cartography, synergetic energetic geometry. And I'm sitting there going, holy crap. I had really good grades at the time, but I didn't know one of those words. And I thought, wow. I went and begged to work for him, traveled with him for 7 years around the world, had the time of my life, learned to be what's called a comprehensivist. How do you make the world work for 100% of humanity? Tried to be Bucky, built New York Racquet Club, Botanical Gardens, aviaries, and bankrupted in 1974 so fast. I've got a bestseller out right now called Ask, the bridge from your dreams to your destiny, ASK exclamation mark. And I said, oh my God, I made a mistake. I asked, what if I go bankrupt? And sure enough, I go to the library, check out a book, how to go bankrupt by yourself. So if you ask the wrong question, you go the wrong way. If you ask the right question, you go up, right? It doesn't cost any more to say, how do I become a millionaire than how do I go bankrupt?
Yeah.
But you got to be asking and going in the right direction.
That's cool. Yeah, if you think about debt or stuff like that, that's what you're going to attract in your life. And if
Right.
you think about abundance, and if you feel you're already grateful for the abundance that's coming, because you told me something great about like God being like a millionaire or I don't know how you formulated it, but it's like everybody's own God descendant from him, and we all can be millionaire and we can all be abundant. And when we say abundant, what I like about this man is it's not only money, it's about helping people, it's about the family. You have a great wife, kids, like he's abundant in a lot of field, because we see a lot of people that are unhappy, even if they have billions or millions, and they don't have the life that goes with it, and you're full of ego and arrogance, and money doesn't make you a good person, it's going to expose you. So I like that you're abundant in a lot of field.
Thank you.
So after the bankruptcy and you started, what happened next?
A couple of things happened, but first of all, I'm selling for Dale Carnegie Institute in Long Island, New York, and Garden City, Long Island, and two guys say, let's go up to church on Sunday and we'll see Norman Vincent, the guy who wrote Power Positive Thinking, helped write us out of the depression, just like Dr. Napoleon Hill wrote us out of the depression. Positive thinking works, but you got to do positive thinking and then positive action, like what you were saying. And then they said, well, let's go to Harlem and see Reverend Ike. He's actually in Washington Heights. And this guy just blew my mind. He just electrified me inside out. It was different than I grew up in a Baptist Lutheran church, and now suddenly here's a black guy with 30 Rolls Royces, 5,000 people. I'm being wowed at a soul level, and he's saying, hey, look, God made the universe. God's infinite. God only knows supply. God doesn't know any shortage. And Genesis 1:28 says you're made in the image and likeness of God. Therefore, you're made with God's stuff, good stuff. God and good are 1-0 different. And if you're made with God's stuff and good stuff, then you're heir, H-E-I-R, heir to the kingdom. You're supposed to be rich. If you're not rich, you're not really living a godly life, because the whole Bible teaches prosperity. My cup runneth over. I shall not want. And he just was going through all this stuff, and I go, holy cow, it blew my circuits, and it opened up my mind to understanding God is infinite. There's more than enough for any. It's not how big a piece of pie you get, it's how big you make the pie. And obviously, I've sold more books, and you know, I've had 1 billion readers at least, because my books get passed along, and that's why other people buy them. Because then they give it, if I give you the book, you read it, you give it to somebody else. I said, well, give it back. Say, I haven't got it. Now you got to go buy two, one for you and one to give you back. So it has been great. And that's still happening, I'm thankful to say. Books are selling better than ever, and we're figuring out how to do it. So this guy just opened up my mind. And then just to finish that on Reverend Ike, and you can watch him on YouTube, and I would ask you to do that, IKE. He's got a big name. Anyhow, Dr. Frederick J. Ike from Grota III. But the point is, Reverend Ike died in 2009. His wife said, hey, Marky, you're one of his best friends. Because I came from being a student to doing really well, doing his stuff, I was on his everything. I was on his infomercial, you name it, all that stuff. Then all of a sudden, he's got millions in his audience. I got millions in my audience. We became peer equals. Then all of a sudden, I'm running a $100 million company that is doing seminars with 4,000 people a weekend called Enlightened Millionaire Institute. And I was hiring him at $10,000 each to come and talk. But his wife came to me when he died and said, oh, I need you to write his biography. I said, oh, Ms. Ike, I love you and love the family, but I don't, no offense, but I don't do biographies. Well, she came 10 years later and said, here's all this money. Now will you write the biography? And we just finished it, my wife and I, Crystal, and it is a phenomenal biography because this guy did, back to your thing about comprehensivity, he did supernatural healing because he said, hey, look, when Christ was asked, where is heaven? He said, the kingdom of heaven is within. So then you got God within. Now, if you got God within, I don't care how poor you are, Ike would say, you've got divine riches inside you. I don't care how sick you are, or unhealthy you are, you got divine health inside you. And these kind of concepts just opened up my circuits. I said, wow, if you really, God's not, he said, you don't have God in a pie and by in a sweet, far away. You got to get your pie with ice cream on top. And you got to get around because there's only isness of God. God, the Old Testament, New Testament says was, is, and always will be. Now, if he's always will be, miracles weren't 6,000 years ago for Moses and 2,000 years ago for Jesus. They're in the sweet now and now. And I went, wow, I can do miracles. And life's a miracle. Einstein said either everything's a miracle, nothing's a miracle. So I've written a book it won't be out until next November, but it's going to be, I think, a blockbuster because he had 20 million followers here and most people in Africa knew who he was. And we're going to do giant stuff in Africa. And a few of us in the room here that are watching have been to Africa multiple times like I have. Because the whole world, what happened is Reverend Ike, people came up to him and said, well, you're helping just rich folks. He said, no, I'm talking to black folks that are figuring out how to get rich because white people were taught by Napoleon Hill and Dale Carnegie and Norman Vincent Peale, but black people didn't attend that for whatever reason. And so they're listening to me, but I'm not for black. I believe only in green power and, meaning the power of money. But what we were talking about on the ride today, we did off the road electric biking through the desert, which was great fun. But what we were saying is money has dimensionality. There's the material money, which is a low level. There's a psychic level, which you go, wow, money can do this. But then there's a whole spiritual level, which you do instantaneous materialization. Like I saw Ike instantaneously materialize stuff. And then, I'll just give a quick example. My wife and I were on a writer's holiday in Pismo Beach, California. We live in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I said, I need a pair of blue shoes. So I had to go out and get the groceries for this place we had rented. And my wife had to do something else. So I go by this store and I say, I don't know why, my intuition, you're thinking about intuition and imagination. My imagination said the shoes are in there. I've never been to that shoe store, but I'll just go in. And sure enough, they're right there. What is it? That's instant manifestation. Now I'd materialize into my imagination, right? Creation and ultimate manifestation and realization starts in imagination, is my cliche. So, how big is your imagination? And what we're writing in our ask book, the size of your question determines the size of your results. So if you say, well, people came to my seminar and say, well, I want more money. I'll pull out a quarter. I give you more money. Now you got more money. Are you happy? No, that isn't what I meant. I said, well, that's what you said. I gave you what you wanted. Now, if you haven't written down you're on schedule to be a millionaire, get a 3x5 card right. I'm so happy I'm on schedule to be a millionaire by X date by doing X, whatever X is for you. For me, it's selling so many books. When I was bankrupt and upside down, I wrote a book called Stand Up, Speak Out, and Win. I was doing little audiences in the life insurance business, 6 people, 10 people, 20 people. I sold in 1 year. I did 4 meetings a day, at least. I sold 20,000 copies, $10 each. I said, this isn't a New York Times bestseller. It's not a national bestseller, but it's my bestseller. And I want to sign it to you, your wife, your kid. If you got a dog, I'll sign it to your dog. And they all thought that was silly. This guy's silly. But I sold 20,000 copies, made $200,000. 1974, 200 grand is like $2 million. So I was back and I bought me a brand new Chrysler Cordoba car with Corinthian leather. So I was cooking. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
A little over answer probably.
That's awesome. No, I like to hear that. And so now, like you said, you published a lot of books, you wrote a lot of books. So I think you mastered the art of doing that. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that.
So we're teaching in our book, Ask. I think it's a 4-step hierarchy. This is what I've created. You got to have self-awareness. Self-awareness is, who do you want to be? What do you want to do? What are you going to have? And that all has to be figured out in imagination and written down to realization. Then you go to self-expression, meaning you got to go take the activity to do it. Then you go to what you're saying is self-mastery, where as you do it enough, you get really good at it. But the higher part is that, remember I said the 3 parts of money, you go from material money to psychic money to spiritual money, is you go to self-realization, where you really start to get to manifest whatever you want. Like, I'll just do it with example. We're here at a metal meeting right now, and I've worked endlessly with my wife for the last 2 years on different projects. We were chairman of Child Help. We raised a lot of money. We've helped 11 million kids get out of risk and abuse and sex trafficking and the organization has. We just ran it for 1 year as co-chairman. And these little ladies that started did brilliant. But the fact of the matter is, it's been work. And I told my wife, we really need a break. And yes, we've been to Pismo Beach, and yes, we've been to Mexico, and yes, we've been to Florida and all kinds of places, but we always had to work it was always a work trip. And I wanted a trip that I get to do my mind again and do something else. And sure enough, as soon as I said that, Ken calls and says, aren't you coming to metal at White Stallion Ranch? And I go, what are you talking about? And he said, you got an invitation almost a half year ago. I said, I didn't get any invitation, Ken. If you don't want me at a place, don't invite me, but don't invite me. I'm kidding. Okay. Ken and I are dear friends. I said, I never got the invitation. I don't know whether I blocked it or what I did, but I never saw it. So they said, well, good. It's this week. And I went, I can rearrange these 4 days. Hard to do, but I, rewrote everybody, called everybody, said, we're pushing this forward. Right. And it was a perfect time for me because one of our daughters is getting her master's at Great Ole Miss and studying with great people like John Grisham, was a brilliant writer. Holy caramba. Anyhow, was coming home on Sunday. I was leaving on Sunday. One of the daughters coming home to stay at our house, big house, but I don't want my wife alone in a big house. So the daughter's there, and it was like, holy, do you understand what that's just like money, right? Material, you do stuff, psychically you do stuff, but when you get into realization power, now realization power, I want to tell you, is where your conscious and subconscious are in sync, because your thinking goes from conscious to subconscious to superconscious, in my mind, to God conscious, which is where you realize stuff. Now, if you're at God consciousness, all of a sudden, Kenny says, hey, would you come here? I go, wow, boy, it's like perfect timing. All of a sudden, my wife says, Shannon's coming home. I go, by the way, remember, I'm not supposed to be an oblivious dad. That's not the point. It's just, she said, Mom, I'm coming home for Thanksgiving. And I don't worry about that. The kids all come home at Thanksgiving, and we're going to have a big Thanksgiving. But this 4 days before Thanksgiving is like, some of you are listening 2 years from now, is like it is in flow. When you're in alignment, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially, and emotionally, and familially, it works out, right? The Bible says, we'll make the crooked road straight. We'll make your path smooth, perfect, and easy your way. You're not supposed to struggle through life. Now, when you're 19 and read Think and Grow Rich, just like I read it, thought, damn, I'll just put a picture of that Cadillac right on the wall, go get me one of them.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
No, because the thing is, there's 2 things that I love. First, I'll start with the road. When the road is going to make the road straight for you, that's true if you're aligning with your purpose and you're doing what you're supposed to do in life. If life is hard for you, you keep getting sick, you go bankrupt, you're doing stuff and it's never working, it's because
It's like this rather than like this.
yeah, you're not aligned with what you're supposed to do, and life is trying to tell you. So that's the first thing that I noticed for me. It's easy, and you manifest stuff quick when you're aligned. And same thing for me. So as you know, guys, I'm a fitness trainer. I did my path in fitness, like worldwide. I did great stuff. But then I really want to help people more on spirituality and everything that I've been through the last few years. So I always wanted to write a book and build a course and help people and get into more deep into that. And then 2 months ago, I paid someone to help me to start building the course and aligning. And I kept thinking about a book. I'm like, I want to write a book in the next 2 years, and I'll align the course with the book and everything. And I started the podcast, and then life aligned with what you're trying to do. And then I go to Dubai out of nowhere. How I met Ken, which this is why I'm here, guy. I met Ken because Sarah is a friend of mine from Dubai, but she wasn't a friend. She reached out to me 2 months ago for me to train her, but she got stuck in Dubai. She lives in between Dubai and LA. And then I post on my story, I'm like, I'm going to Dubai, which at the beginning I was supposed to go to Marbella, but changed the flight last minute. And I'm going to Dubai, and I'm like, I'm looking for collaboration. She's like, I can get you a collaboration with hotels. I'm like, cool, let's do it. So I meet that girl. Then we start talking about spirituality and other stuff. And I'm telling her that I kind of need help. And that's where I'm in life. And she's like, I got a guy for you. So she brings me to dinner and she invites Ken. And then we start talking and we connect. And he's like, I like you. And I'm like, let's see if you're full of shit or if you're, or if you're like a decent person. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm a decent person. And same thing for me, because there's a lot of talkers in LA, and there's a lot of people that's gonna tell you that they did great thing or there's someone and they're not. So I'm like, I'll come tomorrow and I'll spend the day with you. He's like, good. So we spend the day together, and he's like, you have to come to this event. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then I tell myself, I'm like, I go with no expectation, and I'm like, I'm ready to put the money, because it was costing money to come here for me. And I'm like,
me too.
I'm willing.
Remember?
I'm willing to pay the price. Energy, money is energy. I'm willing to transfer the energy to see if it's a great fit. And then I come here and I met so many amazing people, like Mark, like a lot of other guys in the group, and everybody is willing to help. And I'm just like, wow, this is when life clicks for you. It's like you ask for something and it manifests.
Yeah, and it's back to what we're saying about being in alignment. What you said is, and Jack and I teach feedbacks of Breakfast of Champion. If universe is feeding back that something's not working, like obviously I was not supposed to try to be Bucky Fuller. So I had to go bankrupt because I had to, it was my best, worst experience. I was so low I had to reach up to touch bottom, but it was my best, worst experience because it got me out of that and into what I should be doing, which is speaking and writing. And I own companies, like I own Natural Power Concepts, where we're going to change the world with clean, green, sustainable energy. Like we had a thing called Wind Charger. It's a pop-up windmill, goes 360 degrees, and it's open, and it's going to be in the solar fields. Like hopefully we're working with Elon Musk, where you got solar panels here, right? Good from 8 to 8, but they're already maxed out. Whatever sun they can take. Like we live in Arizona. Arizona's got tons of sun. In Nevada, ton of sun. Texas, tons of sun. Latin America, lots of sun. Enough to make clean, green, sustainable energy. But what happens is they're only good during the day, and on cloudy days they don't work. Our windmills come up at 6 p.m. and are up all night. Wind blows at night from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So it's like a marriage, and we've spent 12 years, and I've put in millions of my dollars. I got to tell you, this has been frozen capital for me. So it was the right idea. Bucky Fuller said we got to get off petrochemicals because it takes 100 million years to make a gallon of gas. It's not that he doesn't like petrochemicals. It's that you can't, once we burn it, it's gone. We don't really have a way of, it's called carbon restoration, which is a hell of a big word. But the point is we can't really do it. So he said, we're going to have to go to wind, geothermal, tidal, and solar over time. And I all of a sudden meet this guy. You've seen his artwork if you're into art, John Petrie, Pitre. You can go to Petrie.com and you'll be blown away. This guy's the greatest living surrealist artist, but he's a special ops guy, a little older than me. And all of a sudden he shows me his 248 inventions. And I said, okay, I'm going to run this thing. I'll be the chairman, and I'll run naturalpowerconcepts.com. Watch the videos. You'll be blown away. But just this is one. Then we're out of water in America because you got to have energy to have water, water to have food, food to have fundamental abundance. We're talking about we have more than enough to take care of 8 billion people. And I'm doing that for a very simple reason, because we're abundance. I said in 1 Minute Millionaire, my book, there's a million ways for you to make $1 million. There's one right, perfect, easy, acceptable way for you. You got $1 million. I don't care how you do it. Do it honestly, ethically, morally, with integrity, all that stuff. But go do it. And it, put your pedal to the metal and get ambulatory, move toward it. And it's there. If you move, Thoreau said, move confidently in the direction of your dream, basically, and you'll have it. And that's what we're saying during this thing, because fundamental abundance, Christ, John 10 said, I have come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. Some of you say, well, I'm an Indian. How does that apply to me? Yeah. I lived in India, so I got the Upanishads wired too. I went to the Theosophical Society. But the Upanishads' first line is, out of abundance, he or she took abundance, and still abundance remained. Now you say, well, how does that work? The oceans are infinite looking, right? And by the way, they're only as big as your thumbnail when you wrap it around. The diameter of the Earth is 8,000 miles. The circumference of the room is 25,000 miles. And I've been around the Earth 60 times. That's how much I've flown, way too much. But I want you to travel. It's your turn, but I got to keep traveling, all right? And, he had fun going to Dubai, and I haven't been there yet, but I will go to Dubai. I've been to the Middle East a lot. Anyhow, so the point is there's enough abundance for everybody. And you just got to develop a system, and my cliche in our 1 Minute Millionaires, saves yourself time, energy, and money, right? It's a word acronym. And there's enough abundance for everybody to be rich if we keep the circulation going, and it's never been better than it is right now. And we're going into new heights of prosperity based on new thinking, new technology, and new innovations, and people willing to do the work.
Yeah, exactly. It's seeing the opportunity and aligning with it. Because, like you said, it's so easy to do $1 million, but then we teach people that there's a lack of abundance and there's a lack of money, and it's hard. And you would talk with my dad or my mom or people that have jobs, and then it's hard. Like, oh yeah, I make $20 an hour, I'm gonna make $1 million and this and that, but they forget that it's easy. You just gotta align with it and choose what you're gonna make money with. So if you would take a line from your book, like 1 Minute Millionaire, like I didn't read it, I'll definitely read it. I'm curious, like what would be a summarize of it or your power line?
Okay, so the deal, I said there's 1 million ways to make $1 million. Every one of you has had a piece of string. One guy looks at string and says, I'll put wax on it and create it and call dental floss. He makes $2 billion, right? And you go, a piece of string, I've had that. I could do that. Well, there's 1 million ways to do that. I mean, so I'm using an example that all of you have seen. And what happens is that the brother book, there's a trilogy of money books there. There's 1 Minute Millionaire, Cracking the Millionaire Code. Whatever your business is, you can make a fortune in the business, right? We teach 38 ways to make something bigger, make it smaller, add to it, or subtract from it. I'll give an example. Jack and I wrote a book, I did most writing actually, called The Aladdin Factor, the predecessor to Ask. And it's got a lot of sequels coming, because I don't do anything I can't sequel and prequel, because, if it works, spread it, right? And I make a lot of people rich. I've made more millionaires than anybody since Napoleon Hill, I'm told. I don't know that that's true, because how do you quantify that? He's dead and I'm alive and I'm outselling him. So the point is that we had a woman who will go unnamed here, but she is going through Target and just got divorced, got 3 little kids, and the kids are at school. And this book, my book, Aladdin Factor, falls at her feet, picks it up, puts it on the shelf, says, I don't have any extra money. I just got divorced. I can't do this. She's attracted back to the book aisle, and the guy's stacking books. Same book falls at her feet. Oh, I don't think I was supposed to spend, then it was $10 on that book. That was years ago. Oh, goes around again. The book falls off the shelf. Impossible. Remember, if God wants you to tell you something, he keeps hitting you with a ding. He keeps, people call it omens. We got a lot of names for it. Miracles, mystery, mysticism. I don't care what you call it. Book falls a 3rd time. She picks it up and says, okay, I'm going to go home and read it. Now, she was in the umbrella business, but a laborer making $8 an hour, but knew the business of umbrellas. I'm telling you, you start where you're planted. You got millions in front of you, and all you got to do is open up your eyes. I'm saying take off the blinders, right? She goes home. She's walking with the bags of groceries. It's night. It's wet. It's rainy. She slips, rips open her knees. Now no light. Super pissed, right? And by the way, I'm not in judgment. I'm just telling you what happened empirically. She gets inside, takes care of all that, puts the kids to bed and says, I don't know, God, why you want me to read this dang book, Aladdin Factor by Mark Victor Hansen, but I'll read the dang book. She reads the whole book all night long. And it repetitively basically says, ask yourself what you really want to do, what you have got a talent, you've got a skill, you've got a destiny to greatness intrinsically in you, and you know it, but you got to release it. She said, okay, look, I'm in the umbrella business. Holy cow, I just ripped my knees open. I get goosebumps. This is such a good, true story. I ripped my damn knees open because there's no light out in the sidewalk up to my poverty house that I've grown up. The only clothes I ever got in the barrio were at the church giveaway. And I don't want poverty for me, and I don't want poverty for my kids. I'm going to change the world. So what could I do? I just wrecked myself. Mark's exact quote is, you find a problem, fix it. Scale it and make a fortune, but make a vast fortune and then go serve a whole lot of people and be charitable, philanthropic, or tithe if you've got a church, temple, ashram, or mosque you believe in. She said, holy cow. Do you see what she's going to do yet? You got to figure it out?
She put a light on the umbrella.
That's it. But she made $360 million on that, brother. Right? So you can give me all the crap you want. I only make $8 an hour. I make $20 an hour. What in the heck are you doing that you can improve, make better, fix, scale, and make a vast profit to do a lot of people a lot of good? I've never written a book that I don't tithe. As a matter of fact, I did write a book called The Miracle of Tithing. We're changing it now. You can still buy it there, but The Miracle of Giving, because you got to tithe your thinking, your time, your talent, and then your treasures. Everybody wants your money, but they forget, go for the thinking and you get all the rest. And then the fifth T is that you got to be thankful. Thankful for whatever you got. So if you're thankful, when you have praise, you raise up your consciousness to that third level of realization. And most people go, I don't have any money. That'll keep you at no money, right? If you start saying, I'm going to start manifesting abundance, I'm going to create a fortune. There's a fortune in me and I'm going to find it. If Mark's telling the truth, he's holding up a mirror. All I got to do is look in the mirror. It's as simple as a piece of string. It's as simple as putting a light on an umbrella. It's as simple as her selling the company to Walmart and then Disney and making a fortune. And now she's one of the most important Latinas in the world. But I'm not supposed to use her name anymore because she sold the company and she can't talk about, but I can.
That's amazing.
But it's easy, and she's done a lot more stuff.
It's a small thing. Like you said, the thing, guys, is if you're in an industry, you know the industry. And
Bingo.
Let's say that I was working at the bank. I've seen all the flaws that they have at the bank and we're not talking about that you're the CEO or something. Often when you're in the workforce, because every day you see the problem. I remember when I was working at the bank, I was like, fuck, there's so many shit I would fix in this bank. I didn't want to do that. I had other project for myself, but I saw the problem firsthand because I went from customer service to credit specialist, and then I got offered commercial banking and stuff like that. And I could see every time I was changing and going up the ladders, I could see the problems. So it's super easy, and it's sometimes it seems like you said, there's opportunity everywhere for everyone. But if you don't do it, then it's not going to happen. Like the light is super stupid.
Let me just take you through your bank story. So we have a guy here who's invisible to you, and he won't be invisible to him in a minute, but you guys can't know his name because he is big. But he's creating DeFi, which is decentralized finance. He is saying, let's fix all the stuff in the bank because centralized banking means communism, and not. He happens to be like me. I'm a flaming capitalist. He wants more capitalism because it's got flaws in it, but it's the best system that exists. I don't like slavery that's going on in lots of parts of the world right now. Yeah. In America, a lot of people are trying to enslave us like they're enslaving Australia and
Canada
in Canada and Europe, and bad leadership that doesn't have its eyes set straight, as far as I'm concerned. So I am in judgment on that. But the point is, you could talk to him today, and you'll be blown away. You could take all your ideas and take a piece of it.
Yeah, and I believe
that's how quick this is. When he's in alignment, is what we're saying here. Because when you're in alignment, the law of attraction gushes towards you. If you're out of alignment, attraction comes, and it's you putting up a stop sign going, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, and you goof on yourself.
Yeah, and one important thing, guys, and I was talking to Mark, and I was telling him, honestly, he would have seen me at 19 and 23, even if I was what I consider a very smart kid. And I was still a good human being, but I was probably not ready for what I'm destined for. And I was like, you would probably not have helped me, which now if I sit with him, he'd probably want to help me and be like, let's find for your book and do this, because the vibration that I have now, and that I'm willing to help people, and the reason why I do it now, and it's not the same as when I was 19 to 23. I was just thinking about the money, didn't give a fuck really about people. I did want to help people, but that wasn't the core thing that I was doing it for. And to be honest, I see it like I was just an arrogant, hot guy that wanted to make money. And yes, I always had a great heart and I wanted to help people, but when I really started to care about people and wanting to change, and like they helped me, like Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, and books. I probably read some of your book, because I read a lot of books, guys, like 3 books a month, as you know. So all those guys inspired me, and that's why I wanted to be the change, and one of those guys that could inspire people like in the future. And now I do it for the right reason, and money is coming to me, and I'm abundant. Abundance as level, like not as abundant as him, but
there's no comparison.
Yeah,
everyone's where they are, and what happens is wherever you are, you can go to the next level.
Exactly.
I mean, the guy looks at the string and says, "Hey, wait a second, I can do something great with this. I've ripped the hell out of my knees, and I can make a light bulb in that dang thing. Nobody's ever thought of it before, or if they thought of it, they didn't do it. She did it and sold it, and it went quick because she was in alignment, and she was in the right alignment. She wanted to take care of herself and her kids. The husband had vanished, and you know, she's a close personal friend. She's a great woman, and she's helped a lot of other women become great because secretly she can tell her story.
Yeah. So you're in the book business. One of the questions I always love to ask, and this is gonna be a good one for you. What's your favorite book? I can give you 3 because you're a lot in books. So
go ahead. What are your 3?
My 3, I really love The 4 Agreement. Changed my life.
Yep.
Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza.
Dispenza is one of my students and friends a long time. I like Joe.
Yeah, amazing.
But we've been listening to him. So your mentees become your mentors. It's amazing, yeah.
And then I would hesitate between The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle and The Untethered Soul by Michael... I got to think of his name.
See, The Power of Now is what Reverend Ike talked about, the instantaneity of God, which is when you're in alignment, in full congruence, in full coherence, boom, it all works. Mm-hmm. So mine would be, I'd obviously like you to read my book, Ask, right now, because it's going to change the world. Because you got to ask yourself, ask others, ask God. It's pretty simple stuff. In terms of visualization, I do have a new book out now called Visualizing is Realizing, but it's based on what I learned from Reverend Ike and also his teacher, which is a guy named Neville, and it's called Resurrection. And what he's talking about is resurrecting your consciousness, because when you think right, you talk right, act right, and live right, but you got to see it right, and you got to see it before you can have it. Mm-hmm. In other words, everyone says, well, and I got the money, I'll believe it. No. I saw myself as world's best-selling author before I became world's best-selling author. I saw myself as a professional speaker when I'm bankrupt, upside down, don't have any clothes.
One thing there, he sees himself, and then he puts the action towards becoming that.
Correct.
So just writing yourself a check like The Secret or stuff like that, if you just do that, it's not going to happen. Just putting the car in the wall, like he was saying, it's not going to make it happen. But he saw it and he took the action towards it.
So a third book, I'd have to say the Think and Grow Rich just really got me. And then the 4th book, I'm going to do the bonuses. I rewrote the Bible as Chicken Soup of the Soul Bible, and you can get them, and there's a purple cover. And my first publisher, who was doing all the Chicken Soup books, says, the Bible will never sell. I don't know if he was an agnostic or what he was, but I never asked that question, which I would today if I see him. But I said, just write me a letter that I get the permission to do it. So we sold 70,000 a week at Walmart because I made the Bible so it wasn't threatening. It wasn't a black cover. It didn't have gold and silver leaf and this is what you got to do. And we made it, we did little chicken soup stories to get you into the big story. And so, like I said, 70,000 a week. So it just went, because it was in alignment with what's needed. There's always something needed. You've always got an opportunity. Opportunity is infinite because God in you is infinite. That's, if you get anything out of this, God in you is abundance. God in you doesn't know shortage. God in you doesn't know lack. God in you doesn't know sickness. And if you get from the human sense of self to your divine sense of self, you become a no limit, fully functioning, self-actualizing, self-realizing, bigger than life human being. And life is full, glorious, and wonderful then. And with that, we got to commit.
Yeah, exactly. And
or stop
what
too.
I really like is your spirituality and your belief and everything. That's what makes him really abundant. And my question, you're a very successful person. You do things. I mean, you said you're 73. And guys, yesterday I was doing the workout and I couldn't believe it how strong he was. And at the end of the workout, we did a high intensity, maybe 25 minutes. We're doing a 2-minute plank. And I'm shaking and I'm looking at Mark. I'm like, can't believe it that he's still holding that plank. And I'm like, I wanted to quit. I'm like, I can't.
An old guy can do it.
And then I went to him and I'm like, fuck, he's crazy, bro. I'm really proud of you and you're killing it. And we bonded. And so I guess
thank you.
A few things. Do you have a routine for your health? And do you have a routine for like spirituality and stuff and business? Like what would be your tips and routine?
Okay, so for health, I try to exercise 6 days a week because I got this big body, right, that weighs 242 pounds and it needs that much exercise. So I got to exercise almost an hour every day. I spend 3 days a week now. I spend my full time on the phone or listening to audios, and I got no lack of people that want to talk to me. I go through the list fast as I can and dispatch the call with great people. I want to tell you, I have the most fascinating life ever. And then I do resistance training, and then we also climb all the highest mountains. I've been everywhere. I've climbed Fuji in Japan, Africa, Kili. You got to do Machu Picchu during your lifetime.
I wanted to go.
Oh, you got to do it.
I was supposed to go next week.
But you got to bag 10 other mountains before you do it because these are like serious mountains. This is like serious. It takes 5 days.
I'm ready for it.
And you got to have a good Sherpa.
9 hours. Like ice is one thing that I'm tired of.
No, you look like you're fit, so I got no.
I can keep going for hours because I fucking love it, and I find the strength because it's so beautiful in Machu Picchu for the culture. And the
it's beautiful. The people are wonderful.
Like I'm ready to do it. So
you'll love it. You'll love
it.
So in family, what we learned to keep our marriage together was when Crystal and I fall in love, the guy sits there and says, I'm head of Billy Graham Ministries. I'm 92, and we learned one thing makes a marriage work. I said, whoa, I got to know this. What is it, Bubba? And he said, you got to pray together out loud every day with each other. And we thought, wow, what a cool idea that was. So we spent an hour in meditation and prayer to launch our day really early in the morning, and then we go exercise, and then we do the work of the day, and we got more work than almost anybody. And people say, why don't you retire? You're really rich. Why are you trying to take the money? I'm giving you more money than anybody, because my stuff creates money and so does yours. The only shortage is when you think shortage and you think there's not enough for everybody. There's fundamental abundance. So, and you got to do your spiritual work. You got to connect with God. And for me, that's usually before Crystal and I go to sleep, we pray out loud and then we see what's going to happen. And then usually in the middle of the night, I wake up and I'm on Clear Channel at about 4:00 and God says, do this, 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 and this, and it's make this telephone call go this place. And sometimes none of it makes any sense, but it all works out. And amazing, like coming here, I didn't know who was going to be here or anything. I mean, it didn't matter. I just knew that it was the right thing for me at the right time. And it's, you've got some experiences, but you've got to be attending some seminars, whether they're mine or Meadows or his or, somebody's, because you need to be in the energy orbit of a great and inspiring teacher that takes you to the next level, whatever your next level is. And if I'm not the teacher for you, that's fine with me. But, there's a lot of great teachers, and you never get to quit learning. You got to be a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
And, I obviously eat books for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and also write them that fast. Thank God.
Yeah, books have changed my life, and if you're not a reader, you can audiobook, you can watch YouTube, you can hear a podcast. There's so many ways to, like, seminars, and it's funny that you say attend seminars, because I used to do it when I was younger. Then I got into books, and then I stopped the last 2-3 years with what happened. I didn't go to seminar. I was trying to go to Joe Dispenza for the last 2 years, but sells in 3 minutes. I'm always getting, I'm always missing it. But I did my Akashic record. I don't know if you know what it is.
Yeah, of course.
Like 3 weeks ago. And when you reach a certain point with money, let's say you're making 5,000 a month, and then you increase to 30, 40, 50,000 a month, and you have a comfortable life, and even 100,000, whatever, before you reach more greatness, and you get a point that you're comfortable, and then you can get a brand new car, penthouse, whatever you want, and then you ask yourself, like, what's next? Like a bigger house, bigger this, bigger that. And then the girl does my Akashic record, and she's like, you gotta find something, because I told her I'm unmotivated to go to the next level. That's the reason why I kept pushing the book and other stuff until I made the decision. And she was like, spend the money, spend more money, go to a retreat, go to like things like this, like Tony Robbins, like other stuff. Spend your money on that, and it's gonna motivate you to spend more and do more. So it does change your life. When you come to an event like that, you connect with people like Mark, like any people that are in this group, and they share, and they're just in the positive vibration, and it just lights something in you that you're like, wow, this is good, like motivate you, get you back on track.
So you've heard it here today. You've got fundamental abundance waiting for you, and it's going to go like that. And we are thankful. I said we'd have commencement, meaning it's not the end. It is a beginning. If you're watching this, you had a brand new beginning. But remember, you're like the caterpillar. You cannot look at a caterpillar and predict butterfly. We've all been in this COVID confinement cocoon for way too long, and it's dangerous. So now do your deep thinking, decide what you're going to do a deep dive on, and then that you're going to merge into the metaphorical, perfected, beautiful butterfly, the radiant, shining being you're supposed to be, with absolute comprehensive abundance. Thanks for having me on your
Thank
show.
you very much for coming. I mean, guys, you can find him everywhere. He's everywhere. So many books, so many great places. I'm gonna put his handle. What, you have Instagram? I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
What's your IG?
Everything's under Mark Victor Hansen or markvictorhansenlibrary.com.
Amazing, guys. So you can find him there. I'm super happy to have you today. And guys, he said it. 1 Minute Millionaire. What are you waiting for? Don't waste your time. I'll see you in the next episode.